Hello, Alt-Centrism Central viewers. Welcome back again to another episode of Alt-Centrism Interviews. Today, I am pleased to have Libertarian presidential candidate and president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, Jacob Hornberger, who is going to discuss his presidential campaign and many issues facing today America. How are you doing today, Mr. Hornberger?
Doing fine, thank you.
All right. What caused you to enter the 2020 race as a libertarian?
Well, as you noted, I'm founder and president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which is a nonprofit educational foundation, and I've been advancing libertarianism for 30 years with that foundation. And during that time, we presented a very principled case for libertarianism, and in the process opposed just about everything Democrats and Republicans do. But I'm at a point in my life, and I should point out that the foundation, the Future Freedom Foundation, does not endorse my candidacy. They're not allowed to do that. But I finally have gotten to the point in my life where I said, these people, Democrats and Republicans both, they've destroyed our freedom in this country, and they have policies that are inflicting massive deaths on innocent people. And I said, I'm just going to throw myself totally into the battle for freedom by taking these people on directly in the political arena. And the best place to do that is to run against them for president. And so that's what I decided to do, and trying to seek the LP presidential nomination in order to have the opportunity to do that.
All right. Many in the Liberty movement are hyping up your campaign to be the Ron Paul Revolution 2.0. What made his campaign so successful, and how does yours plan to emulate or improve on his campaign strategy?
Well, that's a big compliment for me because Ron is one of my real-life heroes, and I campaigned for him during the 2008 race. I went up to New Hampshire and went door to door, put pamphlets on the doors and talking to people for Ron. And then I gave two talks for him, one in Philadelphia and one in Tennessee. And it's a compliment to be compared to Ron. I mean, I certainly don't deserve that kind of compliment because he's in a whole different ballpark. I don't think anybody's more successful in getting people into the movement than Ron Paul. It's a phenomenal achievement. So, but he is a model for me. And I think what inspired me most about Ron, and what continues to inspire me, is just his devotion to liberty. I mean, when you hear him give a talk, and I've heard him give lots of talks, and I don't remember hardly anything he ever said specifically, but I just know that when he starts talking, he talks about liberty and limited government and so forth, is that my heart starts pumping a little bit faster. And so it's just, I think his theme of liberty I found so inspiring. In fact, it inspired me to make that the central theme of my campaign. That when people ask me, what is the core thing you fight for? I'm fighting for a free society. And then somebody might say, well, define that. What does that mean? And I'll be happy to do that. But the core feature of my campaign is liberty. And so if I could achieve, what Ron's achieved and even surpass it, I would be one happy man.
All right. And what do you think is the most important issues your campaign wishes to address?
Well, there's about 5 of them. There's number 1 is the foreign policy, the interventionism, invasions, occupations, coups, sanctions, embargoes, the torture, the indefinite detention, the secret surveillance over here, the state-sponsored assassinations, including of American citizens, all wrapped up into this foreign interventionism, the national security establishment. I want to end all that. I want to bring all the troops home from everywhere and discharge them. They're not necessary. Just end this whole concept of foreign interventionism. And another one is the war on immigrants, which has been going on all my life. This socialist system of immigration controls and the police state that it brings into existence and has brought into existence, and the drug war, which is the most failed, destructive, racially bigoted war in American history, and certainly the most bigoted war since segregation. Now, what's the common denominator of those 3 programs? Well, there's 2. There's death and there's destruction of liberty. that you look at all these three programs, and they're characterized by the deaths of massive numbers of innocent people in all three programs and massive destruction of liberty. Now, there's two others that I'll be focusing on, and that's healthcare, which is Medicare. I argue that Medicare is the root cause of America's healthcare crisis, and that there's only one solution to get America back to what it had before Medicare, which was the finest healthcare system in history, and that's to repeal Medicare. Any plan that assumes the continued existence of Medicare is doomed to fail. And then the final one is the out of control federal spending, the debt, the massive amount of money that Trump is spending, $1 trillion more that he's bringing in taxes. So those are the principal elements of my campaign.
All right. And what do you think differentiates yourself and your campaign from the rest of the large 2020 libertarian field?
Well, yeah, I should also mention the Federal Reserve, which is one of the issues that Ron concentrated on. That's also my issue of ending the Fed and establishing a sound monetary system, which is what we used to have. Before the paper money standards, the Federal Reserve, we had the best system in the world, the gold coin standard. I would have a free market monetary system that was in line with what the Nobel Prize-winning libertarian economist who won the Nobel Prize, Friedrich Hayek, enunciated in his essay, The Denationalization of Money. So, what was your question?
The question was, what differentiates your campaign from the rest of the large 2020 libertarian field?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I'm not really sure I'm in the position to say that because, we're all libertarians. And I don't know all of the candidates. I think there's around 10 or so. But the ones I do know and I've met are people that I highly respect and admire, and they all seem to be hardcore libertarians. So I'm not really sure that there's real fundamental differences. I doubt there are. Now, some of the ones I don't know, I don't know what their positions are on certain issues. What I can say is the kind of campaign that I will run, if I'm accorded the honor of being the Libertarian Party nominee, and then people can figure out, well, are there any differences between that and the other candidates? But my campaign motto is called A Campaign of Principle for the Party of Principle. I think adhering to principle is everything. That as soon as the party starts, or any member of the party starts compromising libertarian principles for the sake of votes, we're dead. I mean, we call ourselves the party of principle, and that means something. And that's a self-designated label. That's not a label that others have put on it. But we have to live up to that label if we're going to use it. And that means adhering strictly to principle. So that's the kind of campaign that I would run. And I think adhering to principle is an asset. I don't see it as a liability as some libertarians think it is. That means like open borders. It means eliminating mandatory charity like Social Security and Medicare and farm subsidies and education grants and every other mandatory charity program. It means dismantling the national security state and establishing a limited government republic like our founders intended. It means ending the Fed, having a free market monetary system. So that's the kind of campaign I'm going to run. And I think that this is an asset, that this is what distinguishes us. There's a tendency in the movement to say, oh, let's get Republicans in to come and save us. Well, and so they end up running these Republican-like campaigns, which I think are a disaster because it destroys our brand. Now, our brand is a radical philosophy, and we should embrace that radicalism and use it as an asset because there is only one practical approach to all these problems that besiege American society, and that's libertarianism. I mean, our philosophy is not only a moral philosophy, it's a practical philosophy because it works.
All right. And if you got the nomination for the party, how would you have your campaign compete with the campaigns of the two major parties' nominees?
Well, I take a little bit different perspective, I think, than many, or at least I should say some Libertarian Party candidates. Some candidates, they make it a point to try to reach out to conservatives and Republicans with the idea that, oh, we can pull some of them into the Libertarian Party. I don't take that position at all. My campaign, if I were afforded the honor of being the nominee, would it be go after the Republican Party as much as I would go after the Democratic Party? This would be an equal opportunity campaign, because I believe that Republicans are just as responsible for the destruction of liberty in our country as Democrats, and they need to be taken into account for that. This tendency of treating them nicely in the hopes of appeasing them or getting some of their votes is just not the way I would go about it. I think that they need to be held responsible. They need to be called to account, and I would do that. So the question is, well, then, where would your votes come from? Well, the votes would come from people who are sick and tired of the direction that both Democrats and Republicans have taken our nation. Now, my message to Americans would simply be, if you like the direction that these two parties have taken it, death and destruction of liberty, vote for any of them. Trump, Warren, Sanders, Wells, it doesn't matter. They're all alike. They all believe in the same system. But if you want a different direction, direction of liberty and peace, prosperity, harmony, morality, then I'm your guy. I'm your candidate. And that vote from those people is what I would be hoping to get. The people that want to move the country in a better, freer direction.
All right. And LP Chair Nick Sarwark and comedian Dave Smith recently had a debate on the Libertarian Party and its candidates. Nicholas Sarwark contended it is most important to get ballot access and a larger percentage of the vote, while Smith said the focus of candidates should be converting people to the philosophy, using Ron Paul's campaign as the example, and how it got Smith into the movement. Which of the two do you think is a better approach, and is your campaign aiming for that?
Well, my approach is maybe a third approach rather than either of those two approaches. My approach is that libertarian campaign should be libertarian. I mean, that's who we are. That is our essence. We have to be true to ourselves. And now, of course, there's the challenge of how you express these libertarian principles. But I think it's critically important that we adhere to principle and then let the chips fall where they may. It's very possible that 99% of Americans will say, okay, well, we understand libertarianism. We don't want to have anything to do with it. And so let's say they reject it. Okay, I mean, that happens in life sometimes. Frederick Bastiat, who inspired many of us, he was a tremendous exponent of libertarian principles. And yet in the political arena, while he won races in France, he certainly did not change the direction of France. The French people effectively rejected his philosophy, even if voters in his district accepted them. But I think what's most important is you adhere to principle. Then if people say, hey, wow, you guys are right, we do like your principles. Well, the only way they're going to do that is if candidates are out there enunciating those principles. If libertarians just water down the principles and compromise them, where does that get us? Suppose it gets us 10% of the vote. What does that accomplish? I mean, all we've done is become like Democrats and Republicans and gotten a larger vote total. So I think the objective, first and foremost, is the achievement of a free society. That's always been the objective of the Libertarian Party. Our aim has never been to put people in public office. That's the means to achieve freedom. But from the very first time the party was created in David Nolan's living room in Colorado, the objective was, how do we get freedom? And we get freedom by putting people in public office. But those people have to be adhering to libertarian principles so that when voters put them in office, they know exactly what we're going to do. We're going to legalize drugs. We're going to open the borders. We're going to end the forever wars. We're going to bring the troops home. We're going to end the Fed. That way, everybody's up front with where we stand, and that's the way it should be.
All right. You've spoken a lot about the Libertarian Party, how it should go about itself, how it should conduct itself, and how your campaign is trying to emulate that. Jumping off of the previous question, there's going to be a race for the Libertarian Party chairman coming up soon. Do you specifically endorse anyone who you think would, help see your vision of the Libertarian Party be enacted?
No, I've got my hands full with my own race, man. I mean, to try to take on any other races, there's just no way. I mean, I'm starting at this race at the bottom. All the other candidates have been in this race for much longer than I have. Some of 1 or 2 years. They already have a lot of people committed to their campaigns. I mean, I've got an uphill battle here. I'm at the bottom rung of this ladder, and I just got to spend my entire focus on trying to earn the trust and the respect of Libertarian Party members, many of whom don't even know me. And so I got to spend my time on my own campaign, and I'll just let others work out the chairman race, the LNC chairman race, and any other races.
All right. For my final question, I wanted to ask, your campaign stated that you'd like to win big in North Carolina by appealing to independent voters. How big is big exactly, and how is your campaign accomplishing this goal?
Okay, that's a fascinating question. That in 2016, just to put things in perspective, Gary Johnson, I think, got 2,500 votes, and in the Libertarian Party primary. Hillary Clinton got 600,000 or 700,000 votes. Donald Trump got 600,000 or 700,000 votes. Huge disparity there. Now, my goal is to come into North Carolina and win this primary, the Libertarian Party primary, but win it big. And so big to me would be, quadrupling the vote total that Gary Johnson got, 10,000. If I could increase that to 15,000, that would be fantastic. Because you see, the bigger vote totals we have there, then all of a sudden the Democrats and Republicans have to take notice that, hey, the Libertarians are garnering attention, they're garnering votes, and there's a tendency here to want to move America in a different direction. And if there's one language the Democrats and Republicans understand, it's votes. When Libertarians get large vote totals, they get a little concerned about that. So that's my objective. Now, how am I going about doing that? Well, there's already a large contingent of independent voters in North Carolina, which is a good sign because it shows skepticism on the two major parties. But it's also very easy to change your party registration. All you got to do is walk to the clerk's office and say, I want to change from Republican to independent, or better yet, Libertarian. And so what I've done, this is my second week of active campaigning in the state, and I'm running an old-fashioned person-to-person campaign, the same kind of campaign that Democrats and Republicans are waging in New Hampshire as part of their primaries up there in Iowa, the Iowa caucuses. I'm here talking to people. And so last 2 weeks ago, I visited, 10 newspapers. I already have one newspaper article about me. I've got an interview this Thursday with another interview with another newspaper. And then I'm doing person-to-person campaigning this week. And I'm concentrating, for example, on here in Raleigh, where I am, I'm going to the downtown bus station, where 99% of the people there are African Americans, and you can tell that they're poor African Americans. They're at the lower echelons of the economic ladder here in North Carolina. And why am I targeting them? In fact, when I went there this morning, I had a fascinating conversation with a guy. I mean, everybody is so kind. I'm giving them a card. I'm saying, I'm Jacob Hornberger. I'm running for president on the Libertarian ticket. I appreciate you voting for me on Super Tuesday. And they're all nice, friendly. They take my card. And on the front of my card, it says, if you're independent, come and vote for me. And then it's got a quote by me that says, end Jim Crow mass incarceration and the drug war, which is the most racially bigoted government programs and segregation. Jacob Hornberger. So when they ask me what are your positions, I'm saying, well, here's one of my positions. Because what's fascinating, Peyton, is they all know that this drug war is racially bigoted. Now, they may not be able to express it in libertarian terms, but they instinctively know that this is a crooked, rotten, corrupt system. And these people at the bottom of the economic ladder are paying the biggest price. One guy came up and said, Mr. Hornberger, I can't vote. I've got a felony conviction. And I said, why? It's for drugs. And I said, here's my vote right here. Take my card and show it to your friends, because this is what they're doing. They're depriving large numbers of blacks from voting. It's more effective than the poll tax. And another guy says, well, Mr. Hornberger, why are you here? Why are you not out there among the elites and the upper echelon and the wealthier people? And I said, because you all seem to have a better handle on the crooked, corrupt aspect of Democrats and Republicans and the system they're running than people in the higher echelons, and that's why I'm here campaigning among African Americans at this bus station. So I gave out a few hundred pamphlets today. I'm going back again this afternoon. I mean, it's fun to interact with people, and you can tell you're just pleasantly surprised that somebody's over here paying attention to them and campaigning among them. So I'm kind of having fun doing it.
All right, and I appreciate you for taking the time. I got a lot of great information, and I hope you do well. And I appreciate you for taking the time.
It's my pleasure. If people want to know more and keep up, because I'm starting video blogs today, and if people want to know more about what I'm doing and keep updating on my campaigns, go to jacobforliberty.com. I could always use some donations to help pay for my brochures and my gasoline motel bills. So appreciate everybody's support.
All right. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me on, Peyton. It's a big honor that you would take the time to do that.
No problem.